Oh, I have a surprise visitor with me, River Amrita. You want to say hello? Oh, you got your cheetah. River Amrita's got her cheetah.
Where's the face?
Hey, what were you just saying earlier when you were playing with your lion? You were saying, ready for action. Ready for action. And yesterday she was telling me, she was singing to me about don't forget the gene keys. Look at that. Ooh, look at it, huh? We need to paint it.
What?
Wow, it's the eye of the tiger. She was telling me, never stand down. Always stand up, never stand down, and we're ready for action. And that makes sense because yesterday was the start of the warrior wave, the 13-day cycle of the 196th yellow magnetic warrior. So we're feeling that warrior energy. And actually she kept asking about her birthday. She was like, when is my birthday again, Mom? And I'm like, oh, it's in 6 months, because she's January 4th. So she's like direct opposite of 4th of July, which is connected to the 38, which is the warrior of light. Gene key 38, warrior of light. The warrior of light unlocks Sirius, Sirius liberation. So yeah, let's jump into it. We're going to bring in the kin for today, and then we've got my star brother that's going to join us today, and we're just going to free flow and see what happens. So today we're on kin number 197, red lunar earth. So we're in the second day of the wave. Yesterday was the beginning. It starts the 13-day cycle of the wave. This is what I call like timeline creation. So we are from the future. We are in the future. We are working in the quantum, in the no time, in the no space. And we are building the new creation to kind of plug humanity into if and when they're ready to enter into the galactic time frequencies, moving beyond linear time. And so this is the Wavespell, the yellow warrior. I unify in order to question, attracting fearlessness and the power of intelligence. So that's the essence of the entire 13 days. And today is day 2 of that wave. So you pay attention, like what happened to you yesterday? Who came into your field? Like what kind of topics came into your field? What kind of situations came into your field? Oh, tell me, what is that?
To do it with my suitcase.
Oh, I'm just using this as a, because we're taking cosmic flights. And this is the perfect height. I have my phone on a suitcase right now for holding this up at the perfect height.
My suitcase. You can use your suitcase.
Oh, wow. Getting all serious on me, huh?
You.
Oh, who's over there? Who just got here? Okay, so let's see here. All right, 197, red lunar earth. So today is the second day, so it's going to be the lunar tone. Yesterday was the magnetic tone. That's how we kick off the wave with tone number 1. Today is tone number 2, and we go on and so forth. And so today is the polarity. The galactic affirmation for today to bring us into the galactic synchronization is I polarize in order to evolve. Stabilizing synchronicity. I seal the matrix of navigation with the lunar tone of challenge. I am guided by the power of universal water. And I am a galactic activation portal. Enter me. So when you look on the galactic chart here, well, first of all, let's go over this really quick. We've got polarity and challenge. Okay, the red earth is about synchronicity and navigation, guided by the power of universal water, which is going to be connected to the red moon. And then we look at, and so it's a part of the warrior wave. So you kind of feel that warrior essence. And then what is the polarity? What is the challenge? And also the synchronicities. And so I have a story I'll share with you all about like us going into town on a galactic adventure and what synchronicities came into the field. But I want to show you on our galactic Maya Zolkin, when you look at this chart, there are 52 different colored ones, right? Like, so we've got our 4 colored tribes. We've got the red, we've got the white, we've got the blue, we've got the yellow. We've got 20 tribes, 4 different colors. But then these green ones right here are what are called the Galactic Activation Portal. They're gap days, right? So this is where I'm like, anything can happen, right? So that's what we're in today, the Galactic Activation Portal. So I think, you know, what I want to do is, in the name of this, okay, a couple synchronicities. Number one, I always connect this wave spell to a girl that I knew. She was a young girl named Lucaria. She technically was a refugee from the war. Her family moved from, they were connected to Ukraine, Russia. They moved from Ukraine, Russia here to Costa Rica after the war broke out in 2022. Her father was a teacher at the Waldorf School. She had just come to visit our friend that we were staying with at the time. And a few days after we saw her, the last thing I remember her doing was like running through a field in the cosmos, or with a dog named Cosmo. And then also River, my daughter, was teaching her how to do Reiki. There was an angel fish that was like dying in the fish tank, and she was doing Reiki. River is teaching her how to do Reiki. She's 10 years old at the time, or about to be 10 years old. A few days later, we get the news that there was a freak accident and she was buried alive, basically playing in this pile of rubble and dirt on a construction site. Total shock to me. And that led me into a whole nother discovery of like what was going on in that area, New World Orders, secret societies, sacrifice, Masons, I mean, the whole bit. And so I don't take it lightly. Anytime we come into the wave of the warrior, I consider her, well, what did I call it? The sacrificial lamb. She was so pure. She was so pure and innocent. And it's a shock for anything like that to ever happen to anyone. And I actually, when death comes knocking, it's not by accident. There's always, my scorpionic ways go into the multidimensional layers of death and transformation and the underworld and why things really happen and what they actually represent, because we actually don't die easy. And so not in the physical, like, I mean, I've known people that have had cancer for years, taken a million things, and they're doing all right. You know, obviously there are many different cases and situations to everyone's storylines and their dharma and their destiny and things like that. But yeah, when death comes a knocking, I go a knocking into like who and what and why and where and how, into the deeper meaning of the depths of things. That's just where I go. That's how I am designed. And so we're all designed differently, right? So anyways, okay, today I go to the market. We have a feria every Wednesday. We walk to the market, and I meet this woman who is a native Aboriginal or indigenous to Costa Rica from the Quebecar tribe that lives up in the mountain where, like, there are still places, you know, that don't have electricity, that don't have supermercados, that don't have cell phone towers and things like that. But the crazy thing that she told me, she spoke English, actually. She said even in her tribe, like, they don't even speak Spanish, like they speak their language. And so very much in the origin of their lineage, still up in the mountains. But she told me that the government is going up there and force vaccinating the children that are 12 years and up. They say to protect them from having children, right? Which basically means sanitizing them or keeping them from, oh, what did that guy call it? He said the perfect, what was that name? Indigenous source, sterilization. Yeah, I was calling it sterilization. They were telling them if they don't take this shot, then the Child Protective Services, the Pawnee, will take their child. So I'm in the warrior wave and I'm like, what? You know? And so I've had my own experiences with this thing called the Pawnee, these so-called spaces and places that pretend like they're protecting and taking care of your children. And it's quite the opposite, right? So anyways, that's been kind of in my field, in the synchronicity field, in the day of, you know, the lunar tone of challenge. And so I'm just kind of bringing in the essence of that and understanding that as guardians, which is what we are, and as we bring the truth of the disclosure that we are, you know, part of it is disclosing the truth about what's been happening on the planet. And so anyways, with all of that, I want to bring my star brother on. His name is Marcus, or Crystallite, if you want to call him that. And, you know, I met him, I don't know, you know how I met him? Online one day. Somehow we became friends on Facebook, right? Here's synchronicity at its finest. There he is. Synchronicity at its finest. I saw him one day. He had a live going on, and it was like a Yeshua Palladian golden rose meditation or something. And just to be honest, like, I don't really click on stuff so much, but for some reason I did click on that one, and I was liking the vibe. And so I listened to it, and I sent him a message, and then I found out he was coming for a retreat here in Costa Rica like weeks later. And so that's how we ended up connecting through this Palladian Golden Rose Yeshua meditation. And then from there, once we met, it was like a guardian reunion, you know, it was a synchronicity. And then from there, literally in like minutes, he is who helped me like set up all of this so that I could start sharing again, because I'd kind of disappeared for a long time from technology and from sharing. And so he's really making it happen, and like in the background, putting this on, putting on the credits, and I just want to give him credit and so much gratitude for just making it easy for us to all start to gather and synchronize and get together. And so yeah, just deep honor and reverence. And then I'm just going to let him flow and say hi and say whatever you want to. Welcome. Thanks for being here always.
Thank you so much, sister. And I just want to say I'm grateful to be here, and just so grateful to be able to to share these moments together. And not to share these moments, but be the living embodiment that is creating the moments and the memories that are going to be ancestral for the future generations that are going to come through our children and then their children and beyond, when it comes to this bodily life on this planet. And it's really no small task that we're here to do and that we are a part of. Like, when you really break down and decode all of the different ancestral and ancient cultural languages and stories and metaphors, it all really shows a similar story of how we got here and what's been going on and what's been transpiring. And now, through many different prophecies and scripture and different ways of downloading and meditating, we have now came to a realization here as a collective that we are moving through some times that are very unprecedented on this planetary body. Now, yes, we may have experienced these kind of things in other planetary forms. We may have gone through the ascension process on a different star constellation, but for this very Earth that we are on right now, in this present time of being present, mind, body, emotions, we are moving through that threshold of what they say is, in the Ascension Glossary and other indexes, we're moving out of the first harmonic universe. This is also known as a density. And when you go into the time matrix, the 15-dimensional time matrix, it talks about how there's 3 dimensions within each density or harmonic universe. So 3 times 4 equals 12, and that's where you get your 12-dimensional Christos avatar form. Then you have the threefold founder flame, which is 13, 14, 15. And those are the 3 octaves that never manifest its full form and stay in the place of the eternal flow of this matrix. So with that being said, being in a 3rd dimensional bodily collective, this planet is moving through, and this is why we talk about moving from 3D to 4D to 5D. This is why we talk about the split, things of this nature. It's all literature, it's all text, it's all lingo that relates to that we are moving from a 3rd dimensional planetary collective into a 4th dimensional. And with that being said, when you move out of that harmonic sphere, that harmonic universe of dimension 1, 2, and 3, you're now making your way through the veil that brings you into the 4th dimensional planetary bodily collective. And with that comes the purification, the stripping, the melting away of the density through the violet ray, through the violet flame, into the Aquarian age, which is the 4th dimensional bodily collective. And then that's just going to be a beginning. So that's the new beginning of an age, because we are now stepping into density or harmonic universe number 2. And then from the 4th, we are now going to be in a dimensional reality of 4, 5, and 6 dimensions being what's most accessible and most normal for us in our collective. So we're kind of like, as we say, we're in that in-between space where we're really kind of putting away and closing out the loose ends and cleaning up the 1, 2, and 3 of the first harmonic universe so that we can collapse those timelines, collapse those attachments, return those fractures, so then we can transcend vibrationally into that 4th dimensional second harmonic universe. And like I said, it's not a small task. This is a huge task. This is the biggest task that the Earth has ever had. And that's why there was a clarion call, as they call it, for us to come here. So we can make sure this happens. There's no more playing around with this Earth. There's no more, second chances and resorts. This planet was very close to becoming another Meldeck. And, it's different when you're really aware of what we are and where we are, because there's a rhyme and reason to everything. And it's not just a big poof and we're all here. We all have this individual nature and genetic makeup and DNA, and there's all these things going on in our everyday life. It doesn't just happen. There's things to it. And it's time to collapse those things. And it's time to become consciously aware, so then there's no more dark corners. And we shed light through our awareness, that lamp of the 3rd eye, as Yeshua calls it. When you illuminate the lamp, the body shines, the body is illuminated. When the lamp is dull, when the lamp is out, it's dark, then the body becomes full of disease and it becomes distorted. Whew. Wow, what an opening. I'm grateful to be here. Oof.
Wow. The one we've been waiting for.
That's right.
We're not just watching the movie, we are the movie. We are guardians of this galaxy. There is no shame in rising up to that position. That's what River's been saying. And my daughter, what she's been playing is you're ready for action, never stand down. It's time to stand up. Yeah, and the 4D, 4th dimension, you could say is like time. And so as we start to enter into quantum dimensions, like anything can happen. You can collapse time fields. When you understand it's all about timelines anyways, and time is like the greatest crime against humanity. TikTok, unlock the clock. Time is the greatest crime against humanity. We've been living in a linear construct with this idea of a history And we keep repeating these cycles of history that we were taught, that were imposed, right? It's like always about like war and sacrifice and death and blood and destruction. And you're like, no, that's the Antichrist timelines. Like I remember, and we as the flame holders are here to hold the remembrance of the eternal nature, of the advanced civilizations, of the eternal beings. And so when you start to remember that, now you're repeating a whole nother type of cycle, right? It's like, it's just a matter of like getting ourselves up out of, it's like you're in a swimming pool and you've been underwater and now you're like, you know, you get to the edge and you kind of got to pop yourself up a little bit and then, and so that's what we're rolling into right now. So I'm pretty excited for what you're dropping in, and when we all remember the responsibility of what we came here to do. Yeah, it's time for us to rise up in our positions, and that's healing. That is what actual healing is. We're not running around talking about individual stuff anymore. We're talking about planetary healing now. We're talking about, in order for us we've got to heal our individual aspect to come into planetary healing. And now when we start to remember that, it's like through our service, through our creation, through our creativity, through our embodiment, through our presence, that's the healing of ourselves for sure, and of an entire human race, of an entire planet. And it's that big.
Yes. Man, we are everything that there is in this life. And what I mean by that is each one of us, all of us, as an individual and as a unit, it's all unified. And when we realize that there is nothing greater than the present moment, like literally, the things that we can articulate, express, that we can use with our energy in the present moment can always dictate the direction as well as the assimilation of the reality that we're experiencing. So if we can remember that and stay in that and not get drawn out into the future probabilities of what can happen in a negative context or what can happen in a positive context, or if we need to wait around to see if something happens to the earth, all these different things, if we can just let go of that and just anchor into the now and just continue to remember what it is that we're here to do in the present, with the guidance, with the divine authority, with the inherent ability of what we are and what we're here to be, then we can kind of tune out all of the propaganda and all of the things of if, could, should, would, maybes, and just tune into what is, and that we are here in this moment. And as we're still here, we have free will choice. And let's continue to use that free will choice in this moment while we're still here, and make decisions based off of our integrity and our morality and the consciousness that we have.
We're shifting the field in every now moment. That's rule number one of the Flight Club. The Flight Club, the angels with their wings. Rule number one of the Flight Club is we are time travelers. So it's past, present, future, all simultaneous, collapsing all fields. We are the quantum creators. We're observing the field. We're collapsing fields. We're rewriting fields. We're rewriting histories. We're rewriting falls. We're just in the now moment holding the field. Oh, let's see. Hey, guys. I'm going to share some stuff with you that we're doing, and it's part of a plan to rewrite DNA of an ancient race of giants which cover the earth. And we're using the technological system with human energetic function to do it. I figure you guys would be interested in it, but I can't guarantee it. Thing, that's fine. I think the main standard that I have is in the now moment, consciously observing the field, collapsing the field. And in my personal reality, I'm not doing anything that has to do with transhuman agenda, artificial technology, cyborg technologies. I want to share that is the standard that I'm feeling is important. Oh, Catalina, it's so nice to see you, my sister from Costa Rica. Yeah, welcome. It's the 144 tribe coming together. I'm watching all these birds just sitting on the fence right now in the sunlight, eating their bananas, singing their songs by my Bobinsana tree. And no, we're all coming together to serve this mission. And it's very exciting, very exciting. Present now moment, integrity and divine authority. So it's like you hold the field of integrity in every now moment, and you come into the field with your pure heart and your pure song and your pure truth. And we don't compromise and we don't bow down to any field that isn't of integrity. If we are put in a field that doesn't feel integrous, we are that field of integrity, and we hold that field high, and we call and invite everything to rise up to that field. And that is what a guardian does.
Oh boy. So,
I saw you put the threefold flame on there, and I drew one the other day. It's a little, we almost finished the wings. We still got some wing repair to go, but we've got the solar threefold flame. So anyways, keep going, keep flowing where you want to go.
I love that. So I just wanted to share a little text from the Pyramid Code book. And for everyone out there, this is what it looks like, the Pyramid Code. And it's actually written by Anonymous. You know, it's that good stuff when they don't even want to put their name on it. So it's unlocking the mysticism and history of the pyramids. And I was out meditating in nature, connecting with the sun, that raw energy, and I came across this text in here, and it's on page 64 is where it starts for anybody that has the book or would like to read it. It's called Heavenly Winds and the Garden of Eden. So it says, and I'm just gonna kind of state this before we go into this context, that when we say the word God in this context, it's not that we're saying that there is a singular male figure that is in a higher dimension or clouds of the sky that has authority over everyone and chooses to use human emotion based on our decisions we make with our free will. That's not what we're saying here. We're saying God in the context of the energy of the creator or source of all life that permeates through every single thing because it created its own self from itself into every single form because it started from itself and will always be itself. So that type of God. So if you want to use source, creator, you can use something of that nature as well. Whatever you feel called to. So God radiates his influence in 4 different ways through 4 heavenly winds. The source of these energies, the 4 heavenly winds, come from the Garden of Eden, which is a paradise according to our understanding today. The Garden of Eden is located in the grid of Iraq. Kind of keynote that because we're going to get into something here in a moment, because there's something to do with a specific portal, aka Stargate, that is located in Iran and Iraq. So not far from Baghdad is where they say the location energetically and gridly is the Garden of Eden. It is a place that is exposed to the spirituality of the soul. However, it is hidden from the naked eye. The 4 characteristics of the flow of these winds exist in everything that is created on Earth. So you think of the native, you think of the classically known, the 4 winds, the shamanic team, the shamanic organization, the 4 winds. Then you think of the 4 elements, the 4 corners, things of that nature. So every wind has a feature as well as an influence when it comes to creation. You have the western wind, which brings rain, humidity, and warmth. And then you have the east, which brings coolness and refreshment. Then you have the north, which brings cold and dryness. And you have the south, which brings the heat. It's incredible that all four heavenly winds come from the same geographical location and the same energetic source, yet each wind holds within it a different characteristic. How could it be that warm air comes from the south and cold air comes from the north, yet they are both coming from the same source simultaneously? This is one of the secrets of creation. Hidden mysticism. Today, the mysticism is hidden, but the day will come when the mysticism will be revealed and transparent. It will no longer be hidden. The pyramid basically embodies everything that was, is, and will be. The pyramid is the connection created by man between the physical and the spiritual. Other than the stone, which is visible to the eye, a pyramid is composed of the following base components. Laser lights, symbolizing life, which is represented by the number 18 in Hebrew, and the divine energy in gematria, which is an alphanumerical code of assisting a numerological value to a word based on its letter, the word life, translated from Hebrew is equal to 18. Then you have internal and external surfaces, symbolizing divine physical and spiritual giving. The word 10 in Hebrew means to give, and also presents wealth between the creation and the creator. The numerological value of 10 also represents 1, which symbolizes oneness. And then you have lines, 8 lines connecting the vertices through which energies flow infinitely between the base and the vortex. The number 8 symbolizes infinity. 5 vertices, including the apex at the top of the pyramid, which represents the divine. 5 presents the letter He in Hebrew, which symbolizes the divine God, connection that is connected to one's own being. Then you have 4 vertices at the spiritual base, the 4 heavenly winds, north, south, east, and west. The zodiac is an integral part of the earth and pyramids. Without the energetic radiance of the zodiac signs, the constellations, the earth and the pyramids would never survive. The constellations of the zodiac surround Earth and are fixed in space. The zodiac constantly emits 12 different energies from its 12 different fixed constellations in the direction of Earth. And that's also according to 12. The 12-12, the 12-strand DNA, the 24, which then you keep multiplying into the 144,000 harmonics of our DNA. So within the confines of each of the 12 constellations of the zodiac exist 12 stars that are not visible to those who are not currently at the awareness of the upper levels of the 5th dimension or higher. Very intriguing. And I think that's getting into probably the higher stargates like Andromeda and Lyra, because when you think about it, the base level, a lot of humans are not aware of those being existing, living star constellations. So it kind of makes sense what they mean by that with the upper level of the 5th dimensional awareness. So then the 12 stars within the confines of each constellation, each spin on their own axis. Additionally, the 12 stars within the confines of each constellation all revolve around the center of each constellation as a unit. This means that there are none other than 144 stars within the confines of the constellations in the zodiac that are not visible to the eye. These stars will not only become visible to us when we reach the upper limits of the 5th dimension or higher. Earth's origin of creation is a direct result of the 12 different energies radiating from the 12 different constellations of the zodiac in a circular, counterclockwise motion around the Earth. this resulted in the formation of the physical world. Oof, wow, this is getting deep. Because this is like changing like the whole NASA thing and everything, because talking about these going around the earth and everything, I'm like, oh boy. This eventually turned Earth into a satellite of the sun, and today the Earth is an integral part of the sun and the stars. The Earth is a physical creation that was created through the use of the energy of the planets and the sun. Now, this is why we have the ley lines, and this is why the ley lines are used for galactic ancestral energies. When you think about the alignment of Orion and Sirius over the Great Pyramids, that is there because that pyramid, those pyramids, the Sphinx as well, is literally receiving the transmissions of the living codes from Sirius and Orion to bring life to this planet. It's the same with the Pleiades when it comes to the Cherokee nations and the Central and South America areas. The Cherokees are channeling down the light beams from there down into those grids. And then, you know, it's different lineage after lineage spread out throughout the earth, anchoring down these different rays and these different ancestral codes for us to be able to have a ascension on this planetary body. It's kind of like our brothers and sisters, those are our brothers and sisters that are able to help lift us up frequency-wise as a planetary body out of this lower density. This is why we have stargates. This is why we have the dragon lines. This is why we're here to rehabilitate them and get those functioning properly so that we can accelerate this process and be done with this stuff, man. It's time to be done with the raping, the trafficking, the lies all the time, all this stuff. It's time to be done with it. Activate the grid.
Ooh, that's what we're doing. You know, are you still reading that, or is there still something to read in that? Okay. Yeah, because well, so much is coming up. Number one, when you pull your original Gene Keys chart, I always say it's a four-sided pyramid. If you look at the sacred geometry of those numbers, and that SQ, that one in the center, is the top of your pyramid. Because I see it like we're pyramids, you know, and there's an upper and a lower pyramid. And so anyways, the SQ is called the love point. And it has to do with unlocking your heart for the first time since childhood, because usually something has happened in our first 7 years of reality, our first trauma imprint, in that 0 to 7. And we may or may not be able to recall it, but it's those first 7 years of us coming into the form from infant into growing our body and our bones and our teeth. And so it's that SQ, when you see it like that, when you see that the SQ of your genetic code, you know, map, your star map is what I call it, part of your galactic mapping, the SQ is one of the great unlockers, or the capstone of your pyramid. And then the programming partner is the key to unlocking the capstone of your pyramid. That's what I like to call it. But also, you know, something's coming to me about pyramid technology. I heard one time, like, there are actually more pyramids found in the Americas than anywhere else. So oftentimes in our mind, you think of pyramids and it's like, it's pretty easy for us to generally go to like Egypt and Giza and, you know, and it's like, it's just kind of common for us to do that. And really all it is like, you know, 3 pyramids out there. There's no greenery. There's no pure water. It's like, it's basically just a desert. You could imagine that there used to be water and lush green forest there, but there isn't anymore. And so also in the Americas, I would say that with the military dams and the manipulation of water with dams, there are many pyramids that have been completely covered and destroyed. And then there's so much more to be revealed around those technologies and actually how they are under the earth pulsing, and we are connecting to those data points, those grids. You don't have to see them to believe them. You know, that's why we are all born into certain locations on the grids. That's why we kind of stand in a station on a certain particular grid. And so there's just a whole lot more to it than we might remember. You don't have to see it in the physical, right? Like, especially if you get called to certain locations and spaces and places, usually around water, you can just feel certain energies. It's not like see it to believe it. We're remembering this into existence. And so the other thing that was coming up, Orion, you know, that is the most common star constellation that I see here in Costa Rica. Every day I see Orion's belt. And so, you know, it's one to notice, and that's how you always see Sirius. So I always like to tell people, when you see Orion's belt, which is that triple lineup, and then it's always got 4 royal stars, it always looks like this. So we've got 3 stars in a row, Orion's belt, and then you've got the 4 royal stars around it. And then you look for that brightest star in the sky next to Orion's belt, that's Sirius. So it's nice to like get yourself attuned to the stars, to the map, you know, connecting with that, receiving the pulsation from that. Like, I remember the first time, it wasn't that long ago, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. This guy had connected with me from Hawaii. I didn't know anything about him. He started sending me pictures of crystals, and I was starting to realize we were going into some kind of galactic communication. And then he told me that he was representation of 5D Tara, the higher octave of the earth, and that he wanted me to go outside and sit under the stars. And I did. And I sat under the stars, and I received the beams from Sirius, which were pulsating all the colors of the rainbow. And then I immediately received a transmission and went live and started talking about Gene Key 37, which I call the Magdalena Code, which is connected to the family alchemy and unlocks Sacred Seal number 1, which is about really us bringing down our avatar consciousness into the form. That's what we're here to do. We are here for embodiment, and we are here to bring down the cosmic codes into the physical form. And that can be uncomfortable sometimes when we need to purify, just like Marcus was bringing up. You know, there's a great purification process of cleaning the energy so that we can bring the avatar consciousness down into the physical body, down into the physical form. We've got, in order to bring the stellar consciousness, there are things we need to release in the human consciousness. You know, we are remaining physical. We are remaining a human being on this earth, but we are more than human. And so as we remember that, let's bring in the 37. I love it. This is equality. So when we look at the world, it doesn't seem that fair. It doesn't seem as though we're equal. Yet the gene keys are all about genius. This is where we're equal. We're equal to the task we're given, but only if we don't cave in. And you know, the shadow of the 37 is weakness to the gift of equality, to the city of tenderness. And you know what the 37 talks about? It talks about the real pole flip. So you know how sometimes people will talk about forecasters, astrologers, like different histories talk about the idea of a pole flip, right? And the real pole flip that we're talking about here is going from the masculine patriarchal system to the feminine. And it's actually, no, it's not one or the other, right? It's not from patriarchy to matriarchy. It's the balance of equality of masculine and feminine in all ways, in all systems, which is actually the synarchy. And so when we start to understand that, right, it's like it's all equal. We're equalizers, we're stabilizers, we're equalizers, we're transceivers, we're receivers, we're transmitting this data. And so we're bringing it through balance and equality as we're holding the field on this call today. So it's good to have. And I'm just drinking this delicious cacao Eduardo just made me with some honey and some cinnamon in it.
Oh man, we both got the cacao medicine.
For sure.
Cheers to cacao, the beautiful medicine, the heart opener.
Yeah, I'm super grateful for it. And I want to say, you know, it's pretty crazy. I had this situation the other day, a woman, like, I have to get real with the like appreciation of the things that we have to receive. First of all, I just learned that the actual indigenous tribes here usually only drink cacao if someone dies. And so it has become a very trendy thing for us to drink and enjoy, just like coffee. The other day, we had a neighbor come over and we did some Reiki on her body. And she grew up in full poverty, you know, working on a coffee farm and rice and corn and beans, rice, bean, corns, coffee. Barely had a thing to eat, has had many surgeries on her body and can't really use her body and function that well because of the hard labor and the hard work that she has been in all of her life. I mean, she is now not having to work like that. But, you know, when I say gratitude for this medicine, I offer it to anyone that I can, of course. And I also I want to have a deep gratitude and bring into the reality that these products we consume, they say fair trade and all of these things, usually behind the scenes, still here in this real world in Costa Rica, where I'm at, are making like $2 an hour, which to me is nothing short of slavery, because it's not so affordable in this reality with $2 an hour. It's not so affordable for anybody, even someone making 6 figures these days. And so with that being said, as we return to the roots of who we actually are, return to the stars, there was not poverty or slavery in our star systems before money came here, before slavery came here. And I want to just like help us remember the holistic nature of balance and equality. See, in the patriarchal system, I always say, when the mother is in charge, this is the return of the mother, because she was kind of taken out of the story for a while. You know, every church I would go into, the mother's just like, Mother Mary's just over there in a cage, you know? And it's like, okay, when the mother is in charge, everyone is taken care of. Like, the mother is not worried about her bank account getting bigger and more power and control. The mother's thinking of, how do we feed all the children? How do we protect all the children? How do we take care of all? So we've been missing that like mother principle in the building and the creation of this current earth, which is why it's gotten a little out of control. There's been a dishonor of the feminine. And so this is the pole flip. The pole flip is restoring the balance of the mother and the father. You know, even in the biblical teachings, it's like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And you're like, where's the mother? It's like, it's kind of just, so we're just, you know, rewriting the story, putting the mother back into the configuration, you know? Huh?
So the ghost, like, wow.
So it's the return of the mother frequency, the mother and the father restore, the mother, father, child, the Trinity. That's what the threefold flame is really holding, you know? And yeah, the aqua ray is the mother ray, the magenta ray is the father ray, and then the golden ray of the child. And that's all of us. And so we're resurrecting that Trinity flame within each and every one of us, and restoring the true sacred Trinity on our planet.
Ashe. Ashe. And you know, I just want to also give the reminder too of just remembering the unisex of this conversation, and just remembering for everyone out there to think about in your life, you know, where are you dishonoring your own feminine energy in your life? Are you dishonoring your own self-care and nurturing? Are you dishonoring your own intuitive hits about taking a step or something that needs to be released or communicated with, things of that nature? And also thinking about where are you misusing your own divine father energy? Where are you like over impeding upon others? Where are you perhaps being overtly aggressive or over ambitious. Thinking about those type of things in nature, remembering, as Michael Jackson lovely and like to say, is to remember the man in the mirror. Remember that, you know, we are the I am, and we're able to be that conduit of change while also speaking on the change and informing others of the change as well. And it's so beautiful that we get to not only talk about it, but we also get to be it and embody it and help others do the same.
Well, this is such an important topic because unfortunately, the idea of masculine and feminine is always like overly sexualized. Yes, River?
Yes.
That has a...
Oh, you want to use this pencil?
No, I think you don't want me to use it for wood.
For wood?
But I'm gonna do a sculpture of wood.
You're going to do a sculpture on wood?
What?
One that's something.
Dang, we're going to sculpting the
That
art.
sounds awesome.
Oh
What?
my God. I don't know what you need for the sculpture of the wood, but Papa can help you with that if you need it. Maybe something over there.
Do you have one of the that doesn't have ink? I can use one.
You can use that if you want. Yeah, it's totally fine.
Oh,
We got the sculptors over here.
wow.
Ask Papa to do that, please, please. You know, wow, it's like we grow up in this world and it's like the woman does this and the man does that. And you're just like, okay, right? And then, I mean, ultimately, we're all being like, be a man and like all of the things that are like, I don't know, fucking taught in the thing and the construct of this false reality. And it's like, yeah. And then I remember the first time I had a near-death experience in Austin, Texas, back in 2016. It was like when I woke up from that, I was never the same again. And the next thing you know, I'm at this meditation thing and they're talking about masculine and feminine energy, but they weren't talking about it like gender. And I think we're all kind of at this level where we understand this now. But back then, when I first heard that, I was like, I thought of masculine man, feminine woman. And I hadn't thought about the energies of that. And as I did, when I started to like dissect my own reality, and if I were to like measure myself in a percentage, I mean, I was born in a woman's body, but I was probably 90% masculine. Go out there, get it done, make it happen. Who wasn't? We were born into this reality, you know? And so I feel like I was almost even late to the game of understanding this. And it was at that moment that I realized, like, oh my God, it's like I'm castrating my husband at the time, you know, because I am so dominant. And like making that, understanding that within myself and bringing myself into balance and equality. Well, really what I did is I had to collapse my entire field, you know, to die and to be reborn and like to let everything I'd ever been taught about what is right and wrong and what is masculine and feminine and all of those things. And like, I don't know, put on a dress, like to become a little more in tune with my feminine. And my trust and intuition within myself was always there, but the commanding nature. And so, yeah, I just kind of collapsed it all down and then rebuilt it back up and allowed it to come into more of a balance. But there's actually a particular gene key 1 and 2 are like a masculine and a feminine code. And it actually talks about how you're 90% feminine within the self. You're working in the energy field, in the womb of the creation space. And then the other 10% is the externalization, the creation of being in an operative field of the feminine. We're not talking about a woman here. We're talking about the creation power that we all have, like we all have a womb space. Now, there's so much confusion around this because it's sexualized into a gender thing and a physical changing of body parts and things like that versus understanding that our origins are actually much more androgynous. We are an extremely, this has to do with the lunar matrix, extremely over-sexualized race. And that's why we have 8.5 billion beings on a planet right now, which nobody can actually prove. That's just kind of what they're saying in their reporting. Nobody's ever actually seen 8.5 billion people. Okay. Oh, did it break? It's okay if you can still use that. And so anyways, it's been a journey of like understanding that. I actually feel like I want to read you just a little bit of the 37 as we're talking about this subject and about the real pole flip and the other things. So with that being said, I want to say within my personal experiences, I've met a lot of women that I feel like were carrying the pressure to like have children because they're a woman. And I just remember like many times now I've told women like, you know, it's okay. Like, you don't have to have a child if you don't want to. Like, don't let anyone put that pressure on you because you are a woman that you need to produce a child. Like, that's not, we have our own child within ourselves. It's oftentimes, you know, in the Gene Keys, it's Richard Rudd talks about ultimately you have a child to heal your inner child. And that's like, okay, well, you can heal your inner child without having a child. It's actually quite a responsibility and a challenge to have children. It's not just for everybody to just keep popping them out if they don't actually want them. I mean, how many people have come to me that have felt like they weren't wanted by their family? Just to be really honest, those are all things that we have to heal from. And so, okay, so that was one part. And then the other thing was like, yeah, the pressure on the man. Okay, you were born with a dick and now you've got to pay the bills and you've got to be the protector, you've got to take care of. And it's just very interesting how we impose, you know, these ideas of like, you have these body parts and so you need to do this and you have, and so my current partner, Eduardo, I've been with 7 years now. And my husband before that, 14 years. And they were very much more in tune with their feminine, in tune with the mother within themselves. And it showed in their parenting, it showed in their connection with their children. And I could start to see the shift from like, you know, the guy that I dated that would drive the big truck with the guns and drink the whiskey. And like, it was just like, all of a sudden, you know, people talk about like, oh, I like the bad boy or something like that. And I'm like, okay, I mean, all right. But, you know, so I've been seeing this softening of the man and allowing that to happen. And like the beauty of that, the beauty of the softness that's coming through. And of course, I mean, that's got to make the best lover in the world. If a man is in tune with his feminine nature, then he's going to love a woman like a woman should be loved, if you know what I'm saying there, because he's in tune with that within himself. And so that is the invitation to all. It's okay to soften, you know, and it's okay to rise and to find that balance in between there and to not let anybody put too many words to what it looks like. It's like you have a nature within yourself, and when you trust and you honor that, everything does come into balance and restoration. So the 37 is coming up for me, and I want to see, what is it? The ascent of the family. Frequency. I'm just going to read about this 37. Because of the emotional charge between the yin, they simply transitional times we're living through, because of the emotional charge between the yin and yang, between men and women, to even discuss such issues arouses huge hidden tensions and opinions. In this respect, one of the great signs of the 37th shadow is your identification with your gender in the first place. The real issue is one of yin and yang, of an imbalance between archetypal forces, not between their manifestations. There are always exceptions to the general rules so that there is always room for individual uniqueness. The mutative energy moving through this 37th gene key is also bringing an end to many other structures that have been a part of human civilization for so long. One of these structures is organized religion, which is essentially a male-oriented phenomenon based upon division and worship. The masculine left hemisphere of the brain divides in order to understand, whereas the feminine right hemisphere grasps the fundamental unity that is always and already present. This movement from worship to embodiment is such a profound transition for humanity because it cannot easily be understood through your mind. The shadow of weakness is actually a complete fabrication of the mind. We need these external crutches only as long as we perceive ourselves as weak without them. The moment we drop the crutches, we're talking about this fake religion, we will come to see that we had strong legs all along. The essence of the dilemma of the 37th shadow is seen most clearly through this imbalance within the individual. What we fear most deeply through the 37th shadow is lack of support, because our frequency does not allow us to feel a part of the whole, and therefore supported by the whole. We only give with the assurance that we will receive something back. This is the foundation of social economics, and its root is fear. What we don't have access to at this shadow frequency is the feeling of deep trust in the collective. We don't know that when we give from our heart, we will receive far more in return from somewhere in the collective energy field. Because we cannot anticipate how this energy might return to us, we do not trust it. Consequently, you can see that when you allow your mind to lead your life, you create weakness in the world because you sever the chain of support that exists naturally between all beings. Thus, it is the human heart and its ability to grasp the holistic essence of life that our true collective future lies. In an individual human being, this change translates as the mind serving the heart, says the masculine serving the feminine principle. And it is about that unconditional love and that unconditional giving. And I've been experimenting with this for a long period of time. I give unconditionally to any and anyone that comes into my field. And I don't do it on a transactional basis where I'm like, okay, I gave you this, what are you going to give for me? Or I gave you this and it's this price. What I do is I invite, of course, contribution, and I invite, of course, donation. I call it cosmic donation. And I understand that somehow, some way, I give of what I can and I receive of what I need. And it may or may not be through the direct channel that I gave to. And that is called no fear. That is called trust in the universe. That is called the trust in the restoration of a holistic unity that we remember to be so. And so there's the invitation to start to move in such a way. And this is actually what unlocks free energy. And it's so funny. I keep hearing all these things coming out about free energy, technology, this or that. And I'm like, it ain't free if it's for a price. It ain't free if it's for a fee. Don't get it twisted. Free energy, philanthropy unlocks free energy. And the best way to start to experiment and to play with this is with money. Because you can say unity and we're all one and all of that all day long, but free philanthropy unlocks free energy. I freely give, I freely receive. I trust that when I give, I receive. I don't give, and I don't give because I expect to receive. In fact, the receiving that I receive is the gift of God's energy to give that unlimited. It's like to give of yourself in that way. It's non-depleting. It never ends. It's the wellspring. It's the everlasting life. It's constantly flowing. It never stops. It's like the river. The river doesn't go, I'm going to go over here, but not here. She just, right? She fills the whole structure. And so that is what we're talking about when we actually think about unlocking free energy. It's not a technology in a box plugged into a machine. We're talking about unlocking that universal life force energy that is available to us all. So yeah, that's a little bit of the 37. I feel like it's called the ascent of the family at the gift level. And it is talking about the true pole flip. And it's about the collective ascension. And of course, it's called the sacrificial lamb, which connects me to the angel again that I was mentioning at the beginning of this call, whose galactic birthday was yesterday. And actually, so just another little piece of this, it says, A great paradox is emerging through the 37th city. The divine feminine will primarily enter the world through men. The divine feminine, the rise of the feminine will enter through the men. Because that's where the deficit is, right? Via the power of the mother. The collective imbalance of the feminine archetype is not to be found in women, but in men. The counterbalance to this is the rising of the masculine force of independence burgeoning in women. It is through women's independence that a new social structure will be born in the world that will place the early upbringing of children before all other factors. That is the future, right? That's the true investment. When children are nurtured by both mothers and fathers are properly supported rather than torn apart due to social tensions, then children will come into the world emotionally balanced. This 37th city of tenderness is the natural climate that surrounds all parents and children. When boys are brought into the world surrounded by this support and tenderness, their feminine side will no longer be compromised, and the world as we see it will begin to change as these boys grow into emotionally balanced men. Conversely, it's through the future young girls that great social change will be brought into the world. Energetically speaking, it is the feminine that carries the vision of synthesis and the masculine that will build it. This is the generalized blueprint of future society. It will be a world in which the masculine principle serves the feminine principle. So what we are now seeing is not a decline of the family unit, but a complete redefining of what family really means. Family is a structure that creates an aura of tenderness across the planet, empowering individuals and supporting communities simultaneously. In the future, family will no longer be an isolated tribal phenomenon, but a collective breath pattern that unites all human beings. This is the future that is coming. It is the same vision that Christ held as the natural state of humanity. It is what he referred to as the kingdom of heaven. The 37th city is unique among the cities in that it does not manifest through a single individual. It is the heart of the human family. See, this is where community comes in the future, drawing all individuals into its infinitely soft and loving embrace. It is not a force outside of humanity as we have assumed for so many aeons, but is our collective inner nature. As a vital aspect of the genetic codon family, known as the ring of divinity, the 37th gene key has some very powerful genetic programming companions. The 22nd city of grace, the 36th city of compassion, and the 63rd city of truth. Each of these codes brings the eventual manifestation of the full divine being into the world. As we move beyond the tribal and blood definitions that have dictated our traditional family for so long, we will see how limiting our current definition of family really is. The 37th city is an upsurge of consciousness that will slowly unite human beings as the 55th gene key frees us from our victim consciousness. Tenderness is a force to be reckoned with, and as its programming partner, the 40th city of divine will testifies, it is a force that has us all set in its sights. In its very softness, it is insurmountable, invincible, and inevitable. And that'll be the activation of Sacred Seal number 1, Gene Key 40. It's the programming partner. So that's what we are unlocking today. And then the 40 and the 37 make the 77, which in Gematria is Christ. So it's the resurrection of the Christ principles, not of a crucified man. And that's what we're really, actually we're crucifying, we're crucifying the idea of what a man is supposed to be. We're crucifying all of these thoughts of what a man or a woman is supposed to look like, feel like, be like, all of it, so that we can fully resurrect our Christed codes within ourselves.
Exactly. Wow, well said. I want to share some lyrics. I want to share some lyrics from a song that I know.
Let's do it.
And these lyrics come from. The Underachievers, which is like a conscious hip hop group, psychedelic conscious hip hop group. And there is something in here where it says, let me find it.
I'm stepping away for a second. I'll be right back.
Now they live their demise. That's the line I was looking for right there. So when you think about that, instead of living, co-creating as a present sovereign being, we instead forfeit that by worshiping outside of ourselves and giving up the self-mastery of this vehicle for other entities and forces to then be the driver of the vehicle. So again, I'm going to read that to you guys. It says, they got us, these religious people have us worshiping God crucified, can't even see the truth, waiting for their demise. It's so subtle. You know, it's that subtlety of you either worship and give up your consent of power, or you just realize that you are the I am already, and you just be it. And you know that you're a sovereign, energetic being that's exchanging energy with your free will in every moment. Welcome back, sister.
It's so simple and clear, you know, even when it talks about in the 37, like putting the crutches down, like who and what have you put between yourself and the source? Like dodge this hijack. And there's a response to whom much is given, much is required. When you remember that you're connected directly to the source, well, certainly then you start to ask questions about your responsibilities in this creation. You know, it's not just for playing God, as if it's about the materialism of getting what you want in life. It's something, you know, when you lay your life down for the Christed principles, it's from the service to self to the service to others. And so, yeah, to really become Christ-like in that way, these are the ascension teachings. You know, this is the empowerment. This is the invitation. This is an initiation of sorts. And yeah, I think the 7 seals is a big part of it. Actually, I feel like I want to read to you the 22, just one part. I heard today is St. John's Day, I think connected to St. John the Baptist. And I did watch many times Jesus of Nazareth. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. He was preparing the way for the Christ, and he's like, repent. He's talking to all of the false kings and telling them to repent and turn from their wicked ways and return to the Spirit. And to live by the law of God and all of these things. I mean, I do believe in a moral code. I do believe in a moral standard of equality and of service. And so, yeah, things can be interpreted in many ways, but I always use the word repent. I always say repent to the fifth element, you know, which is, we talk about the four directions and the four winds and the four elements, but the fifth element, you know, that ether. And it's like that top of that, it's that plasma and pyramid technology. But so with that, this is actually connected to Gene Key 22. It's the 22nd city of grace. And it says, you know, sometimes you hear about the terminologies of like the apocalypse and the rapture. And this is where I like how, you know, in Revelations, they say that there would be a second book. And it's called the Book of Life. And I feel like the Gene Keys is a script, a genetic code that gives you life, that brings you life, that empowers you on your path in this code book of consciousness, in our awareness around epigenetics and how we speak to ourselves and what we believe in ourselves, and rewriting the code from the death to the life, from the death to the rebirth. So the 7 sacred seals and the biological apocalypse. So it's the biological apocalypse. In the sacred book of Revelation, Saint John the Divine wrote down his famous description of the apocalypse, the so-called Judgment Day, where all world karma is finally redeemed and all human suffering brought to an end. Despite centuries of misunderstanding by religion, forgive us for we know not what we do. Despite centuries of misunderstanding by religion, the revelation of St. John contains some of the greatest initiatic secrets ever written down. One of these secret teachings is known as the 7 sacred seals. In allegorical form, St. John describes the sequential process of the opening of each of the 7 seals by an angel, and the subsequent unfolding of the 7 stages of the apocalypse itself. It is not until the final 7th seal is opened that evil is conquered and humanity ascends to a higher plane. When we decipher this allegory, we can see that each of the 7 seals and its accompanying angel represents an agent of grace, an involving, right? We're going from the outer to the inner, the involving spiritual force, or the city, descending from the higher vehicles and directly affecting human DNA. See, that's where we're being invited. We unlock these seals to bring our angelic frequencies down into the human body. The apocalypse is really a biological phenomenon. It's the biological apocalypse, a judgment day within our genes as a new species of human prepares to be born. Within the matrix of the 64 gene keys, there are 6 gene keys that directly reflect this involving power of grace. The 7th key is the 22nd city of grace itself. So the 22 encompasses all the 7 seals. And if you're familiar with your gene keys, or you've pulled your profile before, I'm just going to drop the numbers of the gene keys that are representative of the 7 seals. The first seal, and also when we do a more deep dive, like personal session, I can decode your core wound, which is always going to be connected to the line number in your vocation sphere while you're in the womb of your mother. It's like your collective wound that you came here to heal for all of humanity. But the first seal is divine will. It's gene key 40, the wound of repression. Ultimately has the power to eradicate all disease. The 2nd seal is omniscience, gene key 17, healing the wound of denial. Ultimately about healing sexuality and ending violence on the planet. The 3rd seal is universal love, the 25th city. And it's healing the wound of shame. It's about ending greed and changing the way we use money on the planet. The 4th seal, and these are all connected to chakras, and we're going, the 1st seal is the root, the 2nd seal is the sacral, the 3rd seal is the solar plexus. The 4th seal is the causal plane. That's the epiphany. That's gene key 43. That's healing the wound of rejection and ultimately is here to end world poverty. So these are written codes in the genetics and the storybook or the book of life, the book of love of our ascent of the family, part of the codon ring of divinity. The fifth seal of forgiveness, which is gene key 4, is a healing the wound of guilt. And it's about the releasing of world karma and the ending of all war. It is written. And the sixth seal is truth, 63rd city, healing the wound of separation, ending the curse of indifference. And then the seventh seal is gene key 22, grace. And it's the healing of, I call it the healing of the wound of the mother and the return to the Garden of Eden. So the 22nd city of grace always works through the field of these 6 cities or divine attributes. Thus, we can see that each of these sacred seals is a divine code sent down from higher consciousness to heal a specific aspect of the sacred wound. Just as there are 6 aspects to the sacred wound, so there are 6 divine aspects responsible for healing that wound. And this process takes place both individually and collectively as described below. So then it goes through all the seals, which I won't read. If you want to go more deep into the seals, this is the framework of a future mystery school. We've been bringing this data, this information, this sacred text in for many years with small groups of people through the 7 sacred seals. If you want to learn more about the seals or decode the seals within your chart, that's usually one of the first things I look at when I do personal one-on-one sessions, is identifying which seals you carry and kind of just putting some context to the understanding of it, because it starts to make more sense in the unfolding of your ascent, your ascension, your final healing, turning on that DNA, embodying the angelic frequencies. And ultimately, these are the scripts and the codes for activating the family of light, for activating the warriors of light, for activating the 144,000, which is nothing short of a tipping point of a group family fractal of souls, the avatar of synthesis, the family of Maitreya, whatever you want to call this. You could fit it into the return of the Kalki avatar. It's about the angelic frequencies being embodied on the earth plane to tip the scales and to heal the planet and all of humanity and to end all suffering. That's what we're talking about here. Dream big. It's so much bigger than, if you're getting a car for Christmas. It's something so much bigger when we remember. So yeah, how are you doing, Marcus? I know I just talked a lot through some stuff.
I'm great. I'm just perfect right now. I'm just flowing and just casual in the harmonics.
And I know you want to talk about the Elohim are on the scene and the threefold flame. Did you want to bring anything in specific around that?
Yeah, I'll bring up a little bit about that. Let's see here. Boy, oh boy. Here we go.
The Elohim are on the scene.
So today I went live earlier and I talked with 3 of our sisters about the pink diamond Elohi. Now, this pink diamond Elohi, this is connected to the solar dragon queen. And then this also ties in with the white dragon queen, which is basically the guardian hierogamic mother. It also talks about the not inverted, but the organic Metatronic energies as well as Meritaten. And Meritaten is the solar dragon queen's name, which is the twin flame to the organic Metatron. So they talk about the retrieval of the fallen Metatronic, and then it talks about the Braha Arama aquatic races that not only come from Andromeda, but also Pegasus as well, the Pegasus constellation. And Pegasus is known as a direct hub for the pink ray of the Divine Mother. So you have that kind of more aqua and pink energy in the Andromeda constellation, which is like a pillar that is connected in an energetic grid with Pegasus and 2 other constellations as well that make up the full spectrum of the mother energy. So then it talks about the different Mer lineages. It talks about the origin behind Poseidon and Neptune, as well as the Mer beings, as in the deer, the horses, the winged Pegasus. And it talks about how that is a dimensional gateway for the 11th and 12th dimensional layers to be able to anchor into this time matrix. And then Lyra is basically like the partnership to this energy field. And Lyra basically represents the Crystal Star Network, which is where the triple Great Lion Network comes in. And then for my episode yesterday, I broke down the triple Great Lion Network, which you guys can tune into. Grand Rising with Crystal Light on the Sacred Light Broadcast Network playlist. And that talks about the vertical axional lines. So this is actually where a threefold flame comes from, is from the triple Elohi Great Lion Network. And this is the Lyran Matrix, which then anchors in as the cradle of the 12th and 11th dimensions of this universal time matrix. So you have the golden lion, you have the white lion, and then you have the blue lion. And these represent the 3 axional lines of the vertical. And this is where the threefold flame anchors into this time matrix. And then when it comes to this aqua and the pink ray, dolphin, whale, mermaid, Pegasus, beings of that nature, they are anchoring the 12 harmonic sound pillars. So the 12 sound dimensional pillars that help anchor in the father energy of the triple lion network. So those pillars that anchor in the Elohi triple lion network energies, you can also think of them as the underwater portals, the underwater stargates, the underwater star family. And long story short, that's why the ocean's been poisoned, and that's why the ocean has been attacked when it comes to trying to hunt whales and just kill dolphins and things of that nature. It's because the negative forces that are physical and non-physical that can inhabit unconscious humans are messing with unconscious humans' psychology and being and influencing them into staying stuck in their lower nature to do things like go kill whales and all this stuff, when that's actually ultimately helping their goal of shutting down our crystalline grid networks because of the supersonic sound waves that these whales and dolphins and water mammals carry. So that is another part of repairing the grid. And this is where the pink diamond Elohi come in, is our Mer family. So this, those of you out there that are star seeds that feel deeply connected to dolphins and whales, mermaid energy, things of that nature, you're probably likely connected to this type of ray and carrying these kind of codes. You're probably very sensitive to sound. I'm sure you're very sensitive to tones and vocalization, frequencies, things of that nature. That all very much ties in with this right here. And then it talks about the organic, authentic Melchizedek, Metatron, Michael, Solar Logos body. And that's something that I've also been trying to help people focus more on, is focusing on the organic original Metatron codes and not so much on the fallen. Now, it's good to acknowledge that there is the fallen, but to also remember that there is the organic and that we can activate the organic. And the organic, which is right here in Ascension Glossary, the Melchizedek, Metatron, Michael, which is the pearl activation, which connects us to our white diamond Elohi Lyran sun, 11-dimensional avian body, is one of the keys, is to come back into that restored order and focusing and bringing the embodiment of that restored order. And it's definitely key to also know the difference as well between the organic and the non-organic shadow version. And then it also has the Rainbow Bridge, which connects from the Earth into Pegasus. And there's also a Rainbow Bridge that connects to Andromeda as well. The White Diamond Shield. So yeah, then it talks about the Metatronic reversals right here in the fallen matrices. And then these Metatronic corrections. Okay, so the Cosmic Elohi Father Sons. So the Cosmic Elohi Father Sons entering Pegasus constellation brought assorted solar light corrections that reanimated dead sections of the space-time field as a result of the Metatronic reversals and fallen matrices. These Metatronic corrections have greatly improved the light quotient within the quantum spaces of the planetary architecture, as well as several interconnected constellations damaged by Lyra and Pegasus invasions, which was similar to a spontaneous and rapid detoxification to purge out shadow bodies from the Earth. The shadow purge may have brought out very intense inner Armageddon sensations of explosions, along with spiritual Kundalini activations from inner birthing of the solar egg, or assorted dragon egg activations for rebirthing the Metatron sun for those who are directly connected to the Elohim lineages that are being liberated. The Cosmic Father, Pink Diamond Sun, takes expression inside of us by weaving into the scepter codes in the Rishik 15D layers to alchemically birth the inner sun of the Holy Father's presence upon the earth plane. As he embodies fully, there is Cosmic Christos Metatron, Pink Sun. Essentially, these function as a light body upgrade for the Amethyst Order and Violet Flame in multiple dimensions of time and order to embody the direct connection with the Cosmic Holy Father. This is a Cosmic Elohi Father override of the alien machinery and shadow forms, which have acted as the imposter intermediary force in his absence, by removing those false god distortions, such as the false king of tyranny archetypal shadows and the Church of Rome narratives that put the crucifixion wounds into the planet to persecute and twist the meaning of Christ. Man. Wait. The White Diamond.
Wings up, diamond light, golden wings, Merkabah's starship. Aqua Ray is here to stay. The correction of all reversals, the rise of all fallen. the invitation of all who have fallen to turn from their ways and to rise. You have a question?
Yes.
What?
How you reverse the inorganic matrix into the organic matrix, the organic metabolic into the organic.
How do you reverse it? How do you return it?
How you
Restore.
reverse into the inorganic to the organic, to the false into the original.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it feels like to me you're moving from the parasitic nature to the life-giving nature. Eduardo was asking about how you restore, how do you return? It's like, and talk about the fall and turning from your wicked ways, or Antichrist technology is about service to self. You know, the risen technology is service to others. Okay, a few things are coming to me about what was brought up just now, connected to the underwaters and Neptune and just the myrrh. Okay, number one, first character that we ever learned about in Disney was the Little Mermaid, okay, in Disney. At the hour, 1 hour and 44 timestamp, she gives her voice to the dark witch Ursula to have legs to come to the earth. So I want us to like feel what that means to have lost our voice to become a human and to be like on this earth but not speaking up. And literally at that 1 hour 44 mark, she's singing, and the dark octopus woman captures her voice into a shell. It shows her golden voice is coming out, and it's like it's stolen and locked away. And so I want us to like feel the energy of the voice being returned. And then I want to say, connected to the whales, one time Eduardo and I and River were invited to go on a whale tour here in Costa Rica. They have a place called the Whale's Tail. And so it was like $80 a person. We go out, there's like hundreds of boats. I've never seen so many people. This is actually a part of the beach that's now become like a national park, and you have to pay to go on it, which is like despicable to me. And anyway, so we get on the boat and we go out, and the next thing you know, like there's a mother whale and her baby, and there's like tons of boats all around it. Like imagine that you just had a baby and now there's like a million spectators looking at you. It's like, it's one thing, like it's an honor to be able to be around a whale and to feel that energy and to see it and to feel it and to be around the baby. And it's another thing to kind of like, as we were going out, I had tears flowing in my eyes. I felt like the whales were communicating with me telepathically. And they were telling me, because the person that was running the boat, she said, yeah, you know, the whales come here every year to have their babies because, you know, they come from Patagonia because it's too dangerous for them to have their babies there because it's too cold. And I felt right away, I was like, no, that's a lie. Like whales can have babies in any waters. Like I understand there's like seasons and movements and all of the things. And like, but what the whales showed me was that they're using underwater AI technology to record their sounds. And then they're using it on the whales to attract them to particular spaces. They're falling for it, you know, like they're hearing their mother's call, but it's for tourism. And so like, I'm just like sobbing and bawling my eyes out as I'm understanding. And then it ended up coming to my attention. There's like this big Oceania group, which apparently is connected to Jeffrey Epstein. It was like all in the Epstein files. It's crazy how when the Epstein files came out, there was a lot of Costa Rica stuff there and something with this oceanic group. And, you know, like they pretend like they're doing good for the ocean, but there's really like some shit going on down under the ground. And it makes me think of the movie Aquaman. Like this stuff is actually really true, you know, and it shows like Aquaman has to fucking come out and fight because they're messing around with this underwater kingdom, not underworld, but underwater. It's always interesting too, you know, because sometimes people are talking about looking for UFOs in the sky and everything. I'm like, everything's been going on underground and underwater the entire time. Dodge the hijack. It's all happening without you ever having any idea about it. Now we go into
Black Panther.
Neptune. What's that?
Black Panther.
Yes.
I think it's the second one.
Mm-hmm.
They literally like their civilization, they're underwater. Like, I'm not sure if it's like Mayan or Aztec based, but it's like based off of Mayan or Aztec culture, underwater civilization.
It's like, these aren't just entertainment. These are the truth being revealed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is not about eating your popcorn. This is about remembering. Like, this is, and you can eat your popcorn at the same time. But seriously, like, we understand, right, that everything that's happening on the planet is required to be disclosed. And so, as this movie called Disclosure Day comes out, and so what's being masked as entertainment is actually disclosure, and that's how they show you and tell you what they're doing with the genetics, with the water, with the nature. It's transparency, but it's masked as entertainment. And okay, and so the other thing about Neptune, right? Neptune runs in 165-year cycles, in case you didn't know, and it has to do with oil and it has to do with water. And so one day the mother told me, water and oil don't mix. And then she brought me into like the concept of black goo. If we don't understand black goo or haven't heard about it, like to understand the terminology of the black goo. And because like my friend, her daughter had been born in Mauritius Island over in Africa, beautiful blue, like aquamarine waters. And anyways, all of a sudden this like, China tank comes and has an accidental petroleum explosion or spilling on their boat. And literally it's just this black goo that can't even like clean itself. It's all over the animals. It's like poisoning the entire blue water and everything. And that's what made me think one day, I was like, you know what? Where does oil even come from? How is oil produced? How is it created? So then it's also even crazy that there is a company called the Seven Sisters that's connected to the oil companies, which are called Shell, Exxon, whatever. It's like, it's very like Pleiades, how you calling the oil companies Seven Sisters. So anyways, I go and I look up like history of oil. And it's like, oh, in Titusville, United States of America, Titusville, Pennsylvania, oil is discovered for the first time. The man goes and he discovers the oil, and then the Rockefellers fund the oil. And that's the beginning of oil. That's the beginning of, and it was about 165 years ago. And I mean, it wasn't that long ago that this idea of this black substance, I mean, we've all just trusted and believed that all of a sudden these like oil wells pop up everywhere, but it's basically an alien invasion because black goo is not an organic substance from our earth. It's a very high heat process that has to take place that's destroying land and water and fueling the plastics, the pharmaceuticals, and all of the machines of the industrial age that have literally chugged through and eaten the mother and paved the roads and taken the natural organic technology and turned it into black goo substances, tar for roads and etc. So anyways, when I started to recognize that, I was like, holy shit, like there's just a history. Me plus River, I'm 144, River's 21, we equal 165. So I'm always thinking of Neptune and Neptune cycles and pure water. And so, so it's an invitation for us to invite ourselves into the understanding of pure clean water consciousness versus the black goo consciousness. The fallen consciousness, you could say the fallen Metatron is like a black goo consciousness. The other is a liberating, pure, clean water consciousness. And so that's what we're here to do, is like purify, clean, return, ascend. And just like, and how do we do that? First and foremost, we got to purify our own waters, and so at the beginning of this call, we were talking about there being forced sterilization and forced vaccinations and all of those things. We got to trust ourselves to purify our own individual waters. And that's how we started to come into, from black goo consciousness, from AI machine consciousness, from technosphere consciousness to biosphere consciousness, is that we start to have water consciousness about ourselves. And then we come into the water consciousness of the earth, remembering that water has memory. That's why we go to the waters. That's why we sing with the waters. That's why we baptize with waters. That's why we put crystals in waters. And that's why what we want for ourselves, we want for all others, and pure, clean water is what we want for ourselves and for all others. And so what's going on the world stage, on a planetary stage right now, which is like a direct confrontation of the inorganic and the organic. Okay, this is the best way to describe what's happening with these data centers. Like, finally enough people are starting to wake up about the idea of like machine consciousness, machine technology coming in and literally drinking pure, clean water and taking water from the people. And so, and you can kind of like, you can even hear in some of the voices of some of the billions and trillionaires, you know, kind of talking about the idea of like feeding data centers versus people kind of thing. And so this is like, we're in the warrior wave right now, right? So we're in the timeline, new creation. And so we're talking about like, what are we picking here? For each and every one of us, what are we choosing here? Are we choosing machine, black goo, metal technology? Are we choosing pure, clean water, crystalline technology? This is the restoration of the earth through water consciousness. This is the thing that unites us all together. Water in Gematria is the number 67, and I think we've all been hearing about this number 67. So I always think of it as water, 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 pure, clean water, pure, holy water. We are water. And so
Also, the blood is so connected with water.
the blood is so connected with
Also,
water.
if
Yeah.
you're telling what's happening is the machines.
Do you want to talk here?
No,
No. Okay.
because it's the same with the blood.
The blood.
You take your blood, whenever medical staff or CIA or police or militaries
Yeah.
are doing agency, telepathic reverse agency with people, and the same with water, because we have water in your body. Your body practically is still water. Wherever these machines, inorganic put in the memory of the water, you will receive this reverse technology.
Yeah, it's water consciousness is important for all of us to come into in this moment in time. Oh, Metatronic repair. You want to read this one or bring this up? This is an important topic.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know Eduardo asked the question, so here's an answer to his question. And Metatronic repair. So it talks about energy does not lie and it can be measured. So energetic behavior will show from where the actual energy is being generated, revealing whether it's a closed source parasitic system, a Metatronic reversal architecture, or an open source self-sustaining architecture of the crystal star. An open source system is able to receive new energy from within and outside of itself. This means that open source systems will be able to continue to run internally and externally. In order to maintain energetic balance and homeostasis throughout its systems, an open source system will be able to replenish lost energy and tend towards maintaining states of negentropy. Oh. Which keeps it overall functioning over time, balanced, and stable. This is necessary for achieving Metatronic repair. With an open source system, time is on its side. Eventually, time will reveal the truth of the source of energy. It is circulating through its ability to maintain balance and stability of its overall functioning without using parasitic means to accomplish its purpose. So, boy, there's so many ways to be symbolic of this. And one thing I want to share, just for perspective, is the difference between what you could say is open source or a parasitic type of thing. And a way that we can kind of tell this kind of energy in our life, if it's manifested, is when you think of parasitic, is that thing you're interacting with, whether it's a system, a person, or anything in this world, is it depending upon you and your energy as an outside force of it for its life force and energy? And then the contrast, if it's open source, you'd be tuning in and feeling, am I coming into this space? Am I coming into this interaction or container from a place of authenticity where I am able to be myself? I am able to free flow. I don't feel constricted. I don't feel manipulated. I don't feel like I am being used for my energy. That's kind of a more parasitic reversal type of system that you'll be interacting with. And then systems break down micro, system as in another person, a system within a whole country, a system inside of a medical, a system within the law, so many different things. You can kind of feel, that shadow system or that shadow government, so to say, is very parasitic. You think of the medical industry, we call it sick care as a joke, even though it's really not a joke. Like, we call it sick care because they parasite off of us in our sickness. They literally bank off of us being sick. And then they bank off of us dying. And then they bank off of our loosh while we're living because they have us in fear of death and give us a false version of what death means. And again, that's that Metatronic reversal, is living in an inverted psyche of what is actually whole and what is a balanced and divine creation. And that's why there's so much dis-ease, so much mental imbalance going on in our human collective. But I know that we are definitely repairing, we're definitely regenerating and coming into a deeper awareness as we go. But yeah, that's just like an example of like what it kind of looks like in this manifested world of knowing like if something is an open source or if it's a parasitic system. Like, is it depending on you to, go through something or have to go through some type of negative energy in order for it to feel like it can be beneficial or be something that is, sustaining? It's like super, super clear after really talking about this.
We can do an inventory in our own lives as well. Where are we a vampire? Where are we sucking and taking and drinking? Where are we parasitic? Where are we feeding off of someone or something in order to gain energy? It starts with each individual one of us to really do that work. And I see it a lot of times, even in the spiritual communities, about like building businesses. It's still about like how many, like whether it's in the hospital system or even in the healing industry, it's like how many broken people can I make money off of? Like so we're wanting to reverse and flip that into life-giving, never-ending, unlimited funded, unlimited resources, never running out. You're never depleted. And that is, to me, 0 point technology, free energy technology. It's like when you get to that space and that place, when you're operating from that inner temple of heaven, where you have full life force energy that is not leaking out, you're not feeding or vampiring or needing to take someone else's energy. The old guru system, the church systems, the government systems are doing that. The idea of capitalism and capitalizing and even economies, we're thinking so much in monetary value, but the real currency, right, is your energy. And so it doesn't matter how much money you're getting for anything if you don't have energy. You could have $1 million and not have energy. Well, that is not sustaining, right? And so at some point we start to become a little more aware of our energy and our frequency as a currency, and that's free energy. And so the more we start to understand the real value is the energy, you know, you can notice it when you come around a person, if you're feeling inspired and enlightened and energetically risen versus depleted. Now, the thing about how we're here to equip ourselves, when we come into that awareness, because I'll hear people be like, you know, oh, I can't go into the town. It's so draining. It's so negative. It's so this. See, we're here to build the body of light in such a way that we are our own system. And we are, see, I think there's some confusion around this because they talk about feeding off of your own system, but I'm talking about 0 point technology. I'm talking about unlimited life force, wellspring, like land of milk and honey going on all day, every day. It doesn't matter where I go, take me to the depths of hell and I'm feeling heaven. You know, it's like that is the energy that we're here to tune into. That's the eternal life code, that you could go anywhere, be anywhere, and be life-giving and never be drained. No matter what, you don't get tired from being around because you're here to it's unlimited. It's an unlimited flow. As I just killed a mosquito right now. A mosquito is a parasite. It's sucking your energy. It's sucking your blood. It's biting, it's feeding, it's needing, it's greeting, right? So in the ascended state of many of us coming into our wholeness, we're no longer feeding off each other. That's how we build the new creation. We need as many whole beings, remembering that they're whole, to come into the field together. See, in a guru or a religious or any other kind of system, you need broken people. You got to feed on the broken one. You got to feed on the one that's broken or lost. We're all coming into, if it's not empowering and inviting you to come into the full holistic essence of the self, to the restoration of yourself as a whole being, that's what we need right now. And so that we go from being fed off of to feeding. We're in a constant feeding. This is the bounteousness. This is the manna from heaven. And it is unlimited, and it is bounteousness, and it is like this free energy to freely give and to freely receive. And so we all have different things to give and different things to receive. Energy, resources, whatever it is. So when we start to unlock that and realize like, oh, you got this and I got that. It's not even about a trade or a barter. This is something bigger than that. It's not a tit for a tat. It's not like I got this for you and you got this for me. It's like, I give boundless, and I am boundless. I give boundlessly. I live from this state. I always have enough within my system to give energetically unlimited. I'm not going, oh, I will give this if you give me that. And that is the all giving. That is the everlasting life. That is the system that's how we reverse a parasitic system. And so it's like, we could look at geometries and be like, oh, this one is parasitic and this one is not. You can bring it into your own life where we're feeding off of the masses on a monetary. Money is a great measurement of this, truly. Like, I understand energy exchanges and things need to come into value and balance and exchange and all of the things. But I'm saying, like, I'm not holding out for individual monetary. I'm talking big resources, abundant for every single being on the planet kind of thing, like unlocking the gold for every single person, not just for, like, that's part of the imbalance of this system has been the idea that there could be people up here with excessive amounts of something and people down here with nothing. And the idea of poverty. I always kind of joke around, if money were coconuts, it would look really stupid and kind of funny if someone just had like 1 million coconuts. You couldn't even eat them all. You couldn't even drink all those coconuts, right? And then there's like many people over here that have no coconuts. It's like so strange. Eventually money won't even exist on our planet. You think they're exchanging dollar bills under the ocean with the MERS? No. You know, this is so basic technology. Money is so basic and limited. And so that is part of the system, actually, the sucking of the system. It's like, even the idea of like, test it out yourself. Wake up every day and say, how can I serve today? How may I be of service today? You'll realize that it's not about a monetary gain. It's in the service of the giving of who you are and whatever it is that you have to give, that you are refreshed, that you are renewed, and that you are paid with life force energy. And so that is how we will eventually, Gene Key 45 is about the communion. It's a 6 planetary initiation. It's about ending poverty on this planet. Like it is not far away. Like we're not thinking in linear time. We're moving into quantum realms and we're collapsing fields. And so we're remembering the eternal nature and the truth of who we are. And we are literally here to end poverty on our planet sooner than later.
Drop the bomb.
Drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot.
Wow. Well said. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're not here to prostitute ourselves. We're not here to slave ourselves. Just because money's involved doesn't mean it's not slavery. If you're doing anything that you don't actually want to do, it's slavery. It's prostitution. That's just the reality of this. And so we are the ones that are here to create and to rise above these systems and start to create the solutions for planetary liberation. And it starts with each and every one of us starting to be aware of and come into these conversations and to expand our horizons and expand our minds beyond the limited constructs that we were born into. And yeah, this is freedom and liberation. We're doing it step by step. It can sound impossible. I mean, I've been speaking these visions for years, and people are just like, I can't even imagine a world without money. How is that going to exist? How can we end poverty? It starts with you and me. We got to start talking about it. We've got to start living it. And so, yeah, step by step, heart by heart, family by family, until we return to the cosmic family that we are.
Ashe. Well, I'm gonna hop off of here.
Yeah,
Thank
I think
you.
it's a good time to drop it to finish up.
I thank you.
Actually, I have one last thing. It's called, because we kind of sort of went Lemuria. It's just bringing in some sound codes. It's the 13 original Lemurian grandmothers. So I'm going to do this 13 times and then we can drop this. Is that good for you?
Absolutely.
This came from my homeboy, Chief Golden Light Eagle. Rest in peace. Yeah, after he passed, I was watching a memory of his. He was from a Lakota tribe. It was really bringing in star knowledge, star wisdom. And in one of the remembrance celebrations on a boat, there was this group of women who sang this song. It was called the 13 Original Lemurian Grandmothers. And so it goes 13 times. So I'm just going to drop this into the sound codes, the sound field. I'm looking for one of my crystals, actually, but I don't know where it is. So, okay, anyways, we'll just roll with it, all right? And then we'll just drop off after this, okay? Feel free to sing it with me if you want. But turning on that memory of the water. I think that was 13 times. Much love, everybody. Hold the field. Guardians rise. See you in the next one. We'll be on Friday at 10:44. Marcus, love you. Thank you so much for all you do. Thanks for being here today. And we'll see y'all next time. Much love.